Hey folks, Dude here, coming to you on another occasion of, well, is this going to be a knife blog or is this going to be the dreaded black round? It's the dreaded black round. This one, of course, just being some foam core, but if you know, everybody does just generically black background stuff, so I figured I'd do some close up and personal and turn off the auto tracking and all the rest of that fun falderall that always really tends to just trip me up anytime I tend to do a knife video. Okay, today's iteration is going to be pretty much just something very simple, from time immemorial, and this is going to be, the Gerber bolt action knife series. Now, this one you can see is actually, it's an older one, or it might be a newer one actually, because they're doing that stamp around the cloyon like they used to do. Notice this one's missing both the cloyons. Also notice this is not a standard bolt action handle button, call it what you will. Actually, I made this one, and the reason why it doesn't look exactly correct is because I took the one off of this, because this one's a beater, and put it on this one. Notice it's got that little ding right there for me squishing it on there, because these do use like roll pins in the cross section of the little rod that is down inside there. I don't know if you can see this or not, but if you were to look inside there, let me see if I can't throw a little more light on the subject. There's a little rod inside there, and that's actually, yeah, you can see it moving. So that's actually what this does lock up on, is the rod locks up on a flat spot that's grounded to the back of the blade, thus giving positive lockup, and thus giving a very secure lock, because literally the little guy slides out and locks it up. So anyway, looking at the bolt actions, what did we really have? Well, we started out with a smaller basic carry item, and I do have quite a bit of these in my collection. I'll do a still shot of pretty much what I have in my collection. But essentially what there is there's the classic one, which is pretty much this one. There's another blade configuration, which is a little bit more of a spear point than this guy. This one's pretty much just a standard clip, nothing crazy there. And there is ones that have gut hooks on them, and then Meyerco did them later on because Blackie Collins broke away from Gerber and took the design aspects, and Gerber was like, well, we don't care, we're not making these anymore. So you obviously was the one that came up with the design. Just go ahead and make them on your own. So Marco made them later on, and obviously there's many iterations of these things. There's another version of this. If you look at it, the blade has the pivot pin, but it has a cut, and that's what's known as the exchange blade. You take and you pull the lock to about here, and then the blade can pop out, and there's a couple different blades that can go in its place. There's obviously the classic dressing your animal in the field, standard hunting blade, a lot of belly, not much of a point, just enough to get, into the skin so you can start hacking away. And there is other blades that are exchange blades. There's a saw blade that comes with this. There's one that has a gut hook on it. So if you're dressing, field dressing an animal and you need that extra attention and, added tools, the exchange blade, which is not cheap nowadays. You can find exchange blades also as secondary items, like the individual blades themselves, and they tend not to run too terrible cheap. And this one, of course, being your classic iteration of a Gerber bolt action knife. All right, so next we have the next guy that's going up the scale. This one, of course, being a used version, so I'm not going to cry and, whine and bemoan the fact that it does have age. It's missing the cloyons, which tends to be a fairly standard thing. The cloyons pop off, people lose them. They're really only about a dime-sized piece of steel. It's either a blank piece or it does have some script on board to say what the model of the knife is. This one, of course, if you can't read it justly, it does say Parabellum. Obviously, prepare for war, or, basically be ready for anything that's coming down the pike. And you can do see this thing. It does say Portland, Oregon. So, let's see, Portland, Oregon, 97223 USA. So I guess that would be the model number. You can see the blades, obviously, seen use. It is sharp. I mean, obviously it's been used. You can see some minor galling on the edge there. Minor galling on the edge there because it actually has been used. Had to tap off in the focus. So I'm not really crying and bemoaning the fact that this thing is a used piece. Most of the time you see these are not that mirror polished. I did actually go after this guy with the container of flits. I got to tell you, folks, if you have a situation where you're trying to dress up something and make it look better, flits. Definitely flits. These guys make a hell of a product. It works on pretty much any kind of metal. It even works on plexiglass. So if you have like scratches or minor, problems with your car lights, your car headlights and whatnot, you need to touch them up. Grab some flits, lightly dress it down. You'll be surprised at how good it looks when you're done. This stuff is not cheap, but it does work. I'm not sponsored by Flitz in any way, shape, or form. It's just something I've been using forever. This stuff just absolutely works. Now, the nice thing about this one is, obviously, you can see this one is a, fairly bitty, not really bitty, but, it's not a hand-filling piece of equipment. This guy, on the other hand, is built to have a full-on, man-sized grip, as it were. It does have a distinctly kind of cool aspect. It has a false choy, finger groove, if you will, in the grip itself. So you really have control on this thing. It is just a spectacular feeling handle. I mean, this is one of those ones they came up with that just really, really put it out of the park. And those guys really did a heck of a good job. So obviously you got that one, you got that one. So obviously these were sports oriented to some degree knives. Where'd you go to from there? Well, obviously I do have my newest bestest buddy, translation, something I just picked up off of eBay as a replacement for the one I currently have on display, but that one is not in the best of shape. This one I picked up, including this just lovely, I did actually re-dye the sheaths slightly. It's one of my tricks of the trade is, you can see it's a slight difference in color. Really not noticeable to the human eyeball, but you can see there's a slight difference in shade. And literally what I did was I just pretty much just drew all over this with a black magic marker and took care of the fade that was on there. The wear on it is very, very slight. You can see obviously the first thing that goes south is the sewn on tab. That just pretty much just comes apart. So I really don't bemoan the fact that's actually got some age on it. But what this is this was what's known as the bolt action fisherman. So literally it is a intended for fishy flexible blade fillet knife. Now I'm not one of these people that likes flexing knife blades per se, but you can see this guy is very bendy. So if you're trying to get into Mr. Fishy and follow along the bone and get close to the spine and get the fillets popped off, this guy is going to be the way you're going. And it really didn't take too terrible much to make this one look so much better than what it started out as. And yes, it does have some minor wear on it. And yes, it does have some, scrapes and bumps and what have yous. But it cleaned up so quick, so easy. And it is in really nice shape compared to the one that I do currently have on display in my Gerber box. And I do mean Gerber box, because it is a Gerber knife display like you actually would find when knife stores were everywhere. But this one you can see does have the cloyons. And in this one, it's just a brushed stainless cloyon. Nothing crazy. On both sides, you can see it's been placed in there nicely. Let's see if I can't get a little focus going on there. You can see they did actually place the brush finish in grain with the knife blade. So that's kind of one of those, aspect things that they actually did. You can see the Gerber stamp is slightly different compared to some of the other stuff. The later ones, they actually put in less effort. Obviously, the polymer is a slightly different configuration, obviously different formulation. Obviously, the script is, either defined or changed slightly. I think they're actually pretty close, but maybe the molding was different because they used a different style of polymer. Obviously, you're going to see, if it's got the fibers in there, you're going to see it more on other formulations of polymer. Obviously, you're going to see like different finishes when they're done making it. You can see the checkering is really, really similar between these two knives. And there's probably maybe about 10, 15 years of production difference between these two. Obviously, this button being incorrect, that button being correct. And, that's one of those things I was joking around about. Like the release button in the Parabellum and the release action in the Fisherman is actually the correct one. This 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 is one I made downstairs in the dude, machining area, also known as basically clamping stuff in a vise and, filing it. And actually, the thing about it is this one's just steel. I believe these are stainless for the actual release buttons on the bolt action guys. And essentially what it is the action on it is just very simple. I mean, you have the blade is currently locked, and it is locked. It is a very secure locking arrangement. And then you just pull it back, pull it back, pull it back, and then you'll feel the blade get loose. And that's literally all it is. It's just coming into play. You can see the action is such as that it's literally like a bolt action semi-automatic or a bolt action rifle, straight pull, what have you. And essentially, as everything comes into play, it locks up. And it's a very strong lockup for the very simple reason is it really doesn't wear that much, because all the the tensioning forces are going to be in a really, really thick part of the blade configuration and a really, really thick part of the handle configuration, and they just tend to wear very, very well. They really don't get loose. And the walk and talk on them is not quite as smooth as some knives. I mean, this one's actually got a really, really slick action. I kind of have to cheat this one, but I can actually one-hand this guy open. The problem is the fish guy here, the blade is so thin and stock that it really just doesn't have enough mass to flick open. And obviously blade lengths are going to be varying. I think this one tends to be about like 3 and change, almost 4. This guy's about 3. The fisherman, I forget just how long this blade is. You know what? Let's just keep ourselves honest here. I'm going to grab the tape measure. So, keeping ourselves honest by, classic measurement, we have a measure of like 4 1/4, 4 1/2 for overall length. Now, in terms of actual ability to, hack up big fishies and whatnot, obviously you don't need a huge knife to work on a fish. As a matter of fact, if you're using a huge knife, it's a massive fish. Most of the time you're encountering stuff in the field and you're doing that stuff in the field, something that just fits on your belt is, it's just more than perfectly convenient. And the nice thing about it is, in terms of size aspect, it's actually a not ridiculously sized package. I mean, all these guys are very, very portable. Obviously, they all have their benefits. Some do stuff better than others. But all these knives are going to be either belt carry or pocketable. And I do actually have a Parabellum video, I believe, in my knife blog. So it's just me just doing a video showing off stuff and playing with things. And obviously me having a better version of a previous one that I currently own. I might take the older one that, is not fully complete, and I might flip it on eBay. I really haven't decided yet. Unfortunately, I tend to have this rule of 2, where if 1 is good, 2 is better, because you got to spare. Such is the problem with my knife collection. I have too many knives because of just that reason. So I'm going to break on this one, folks. Eat good, keep it tender, as always, you know what, you love it. Gerber knife, goodness. All right, let's get a good screenshot picture here, okay? All right, let's just do this right, okay? There we go. That's a, well, maybe, let's cheat this just a little bit more, okay? Yeah, there we go. That's a decent screenshot picture. Yeah, okay, yep. So if you guys want to basically show these things off and, basically make me a counter video to show your collection of Gerber stuff, that's cool too. So let me know if you got something in the comments or what have yous, and we'll move on from there, move out smartly, and Gerber knife, goodness. So eat good, keep it tender, as always, you know what, you love it. And oh man, I buy the stuff and play with the stuff, so vicariously you have a knife collection as well. I don't know. See you guys.